Hi everyone, this is Casey,
Hi, I'm Carrie.
and we are from Carrie and Casey Intuitive.
Yeah.
Um, I am a empath, modern day shaman, demonologist.
Yep, that's right. And I am a psychic medium, also a demonologist and energy healer, as you are as well.
Thank you.
I am also a Reiki master, and he is a Reiki practitioner.
So today, we want to discuss 5 reasons why you might come under demonic attack.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so these aren't just the only ways that you can come under demonic attack, but what we've got for you is a list of pretty good ways to find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
So the first one that is one that's overlooked and not a lot of people know about, but it is having a family member that is gifted, that
Right.
has special abilities, and or if a family member has special needs, and this is an example of autism or depression or anxiety.
Chemical imbalances.
Yes.
Right, and gifted also means when a child or person in the family is new at their psychic medium abilities. People who have been known to, as a small child, have imaginary friends. Now, there's imaginary friends versus actually talking to other entities. So there is a difference on it, but a lot of these kids are actually considered gifted, and there's usually 1 or 2 members of the household who are also gifted as well, and they may or may not know this.
And it's often hereditary too, right?
Right, absolutely. So what to do if you have a family of gifted people? It is really important to know that when you are a gifted person or in a household with gifted people, that yes, you will, it's very likely to be under demonic attack. This always isn't the case, but this specific episode is to talk about 5 reasons your house might be under demonic attack. So with that, if you do have gifted family members within your household, what to do about that? It's a good idea to obviously seek counseling in the medical field, but also seek out a trained professional psychic medium who is able to help families and specializes in families as well. That way you're able to grow your own gifts, grow your family's gifts as well, and raise the house vibrations too, so demonic attack can be neutralized.
And as a medium, you often have kind of a unique and special connection with these children too.
Right. So for me, as a psychic medium, I have been this way my entire life. My twin is also the same way, and that is something that runs in families, especially in my family, probably your family too. With that, I am able to actually see the abilities of what specifically each person has, what they're gifted at, and where their growth areas are, as well as able to communicate with people who aren't able to communicate in a traditional way. This means kids who have limited verbal abilities for whatever capacity that they're going through. Also, older family members, loved ones with memory care issues, things like that. I'm able to actually see within the family of where issues might happen and help them to address that, so that way we can surface this issue a lot easier. I'm also able to look within the person that we are visiting the house, that we're doing clearings for, and see what kind of activity has happened within that person's life through their entire lifespan, and bring it and address it to the forefront too, so we can address their psychic abilities as well.
So again, tonight we're talking about 5 ways that you can come under demonic attack.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was having gifted family members or family members who have special needs or special circumstances. The next one that we want to talk to you about, and I cannot emphasize this enough, practicing in occult activities.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Ouija boards, we're
Right.
talking about seances, we're talking about summonings, and we're talking about playing in graveyards.
Right, right.
None of this is going to yield you the results you think you're going to get. More often than not, you're playing with a loaded gun,
Mm-hmm.
and the person on the other end of that is not a caring, loving, good-natured individual.
They don't care about your well-being or what it is that you're actually looking for. They want to actually just come in and flood your world with that invite of being involved in any type of occult practices.
And when you're practicing with Ouija boards, and this is also important, is not closing out the session properly.
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, to be perfectly honest, but not closing it out will leave this essentially a door, portal, if you will, a connection that has not been closed and will continue to be open, and this can stay open for years and years and years.
Right, right. And with that, that goes for closing out all sessions of mediumship, all sessions of seances, all sessions of where you were talking to anything on the other side for any reason whatsoever. Even if it's if you're doing a reading for a loved one or anything like that that seems harmless, you need to be sure to close out that session thoroughly.
So on our next one, number 3 and 5 ways of coming under demonic attack or haunting.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we call the turbulence or chaos, if you will, that that envelops and devours a family.
Mm-hmm.
And this will also have violence in the household. Doesn't always have to be physical. We're talking about an environment that has a lot of beatings, sexual abuse,
Right. Loud arguments.
And also mental and physical violence as well.
Right.
So
That also goes with addictions too.
yes,
Right.
yes, heavy drinking, alcohol seems to have its part in bringing down vibrations to a lower level where these things have a easier time hearing and understanding the call.
Right, right. Which means that the entire household, the vibration level is brought down and easily, unwantingly inviting in demonic activity. Demonic activity, demonic entities are a very low vibration, as well as entities from the other side that carry low vibrations that match demonic activity. This doesn't mean that they have to be necessarily demonic entities that are in the house, but low vibrational entities. So the only way to really cancel out a low vibration is to be high vibration. So that means that your entire household needs to be of vibrations to cancel that out. Lower entities cannot stay in the same area that high vibrational entities are for a permanent amount of time. It is important that the entire household is on that same vibrational level to be sure to clear out that negative low vibrational entity. And that goes for all low negative vibration.
And this also includes hard drugs,
Yeah.
meth, heroin. These are substances that lower your ability to choose or the ability to pick between what's right and what's wrong, and losing kind of a moral compass.
It's kind of like your spiritual immune system.
Yes, yes.
Spiritual immune system. It's, that chaos is really hard on your spiritual immune system, and we're talking about ways to be under attack.
So on number 4 of our list of 5 ways to come under demonic haunting or attack. And this comes with those who have abilities or that practice in this in the world, in the metaphysical world, and that's not setting proper boundaries.
Right.
Boundaries and intentions are very important in this field and when you're dealing in this realm. So one of the big ones that we hear and seems to be kind of a common trend is what we call playing house with ghosts.
Right.
This is having an entity that's in your home and you essentially give it free reign to live, dwell, roam free within your environment.
Because they seem nice. They're
Because-
not doing any harm.
But with demonic activity and demonic entities, these things lie like nothing. They're never going to tell you the truth. And so, more likely than not, you're talking to somebody or you're having an interaction with somebody that's got on a very good mask and is not showing you the real identity, and that's for a reason.
That takes discernment too. That is really important in these practices, to understand discernment of what kind of vibrational entities that you're working with. A lot of times we'll see a family who, they come to us asking for help to help clear their houses, and what seemed to be, it was just a kid in the living room that we were talking to. It didn't seem like they were doing any harm, so we let it stay. Where it seems like another roommate, we'll just make sure that we stay out of its way, it stays out of our way. Maybe we can even help them.
Yeah.
But that's where the lack of discernment on that is. That it turns out a lot of times that kid is not who it says it is, and it shows itself in ugly ways down the road too, with activity that's happening within the house.
Wish I could highlight that word discernment and how important and significant discernment is.
Yeah, discernment is the difference of knowing between what is what. So what is truth, what is not truth, what is clear black and what is clear white. There's the gray area. We both agree that gray area, there is no real gray area. There is only black area, there is only white area. Gray area means that it's to be decided for us. That means that it needs to be filtered through, listened to with a great amount of discernment, go through that entire topic inside and out, pick, summarize, boil it down to the fundamentals of that topic, and decide whether that is in the black area or white area. It's no longer gray area. Gray area is to be used with severe caution, because just the gray area alone means that there's an unintentional invite within the house, and that needs to be stopped immediately. It needs to be filtered down and decided what area it is, black or white, high vibrational or low vibrational. There is no in between on that. The ones that are either fall into white or they fall into black. Either love and light or dark. There is no in between on that. They find a way either way. So some people will disagree with us on that part and say that there is actually gray area and you can have it both. But the problem with that is that you're not really getting down to the basics of what is real, what is not. Where does heavy discernment come in? And that is why discernment is so important. Otherwise, everything turns out to be a gray area, and gray area leaves you wide open for attack.
And things of high vibration, things of love and of light, they're not going to want to use trickery or deceit or to have that gray area or to have that confusion whatsoever. To them, that's totally unnecessary, and that's not of their being.
Right. They're here to help and support, not take away and belittle or give any type of doubt or judgment or any type of negativity whatsoever. That is not of a high vibrational entity, not at all. So yeah, it's very important to decide and be
Yeah.
discerning. So what to do about that too? Again, having a psychic medium that can help actually, who understands and who is actually able to look inside of your mind and seeing what it is that you're looking at, who you're actually talking to, where this actually originates and how it became to be. That is very important in learning discernment. The more you get into this, the more you can understand discernment. So it's very important to learn discernment.
And that's where you get your power from, and your knowing and your ability to read beyond the lies.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to this point. Thinking that you have the ability to control these entities,
Right.
that is a flat out lie.
Right.
You have no control over these entities.
No. Not at all.
These things are thousands and thousands of years old and have abilities that you can't begin to fathom and understand. And not all of them have the same. Some have more, some of them have less.
Right, because there are different grades of demonic entities. That's the best way that I can say it.
Yes.
But at the same time, it is true, and you've probably heard this on the internet as well, when you have one singular bit of demonic activity going on in your house, guaranteed it's not just that one entity. There is most often not just one thing in the house. Usually those things will show up as the lower grade, the minion types that'll come in as shadow figures, as maybe even as what seems like neutral ghost activity within the house. But as the infestation continues along, you notice even more increased activity and a whole lot of other things going on with the house. And that's because there's not usually just one entity within that house. Usually, from all of those invites of those 5 ways to accidentally invite demonic activity into your house, you've not just invited one, but you've invited their entire legion. So the entire legion may not be inside of your house, but it is participating in some way or another. And that's where we come into, is to knock all of that stuff out.
So on number 5 for our list of ways to be in a demonic haunting, land.
Right.
And this can come to a place where it's not something that you had a control over in the beginning, or to deal with in the first place. Land that has been used in occult practices, that has had rituals performed on it, that it's had summonings performed on it, essentially poisons the land. And it's not something that goes away with time. It's something that remains and will continue to remain.
Right, so that's where you can move into a house that seems like it's an okay house, but it turns out later that that house is infested. You might have noticed something when you walked in that might have made you feel sick at first, and you leave the house, you feel fine, you come back, you feel sick again. And so you're noticing that something's a little off with this house. It very well might be the land and the house itself, and not necessarily that person. So that's a whole different topic too. But that's what we're covering here today.
So that would be a way that you wouldn't have to invite them into your life. They would be there.
They were already invited before you were there. So it's on the practice of the occult practice, rituals for heavy activity for protections on the land that kind of goes sideways. Any types of curses on the land, any type of activity with kids using Ouija boards before, or anybody of that sort, any type of seances.
Witchcraft.
Right, on that land before you even lived in that house. That activity can be going on, and just the simple part of you being in that house in the same time can activate that activity. That doesn't mean that it was triggered by you. It just means that there is activity within that land, and you're most likely low-hanging fruit for that to happen. So with that though, what do you do with that? There are ways to clear it. Those types of things you got to get to find another And find a demonologist, find psychic medium too that can be on site and be able to get to the origins of where that negative activity originates. Get through there and be able to neutralize it. But most often, you can do this type of healing from afar. It's just a little bit more difficult. It can be done, and there are certain demonologists that are very good at doing this from a distance. For us, we can do it a little bit, but we prefer to be on the actual site itself, so that way we can actually feel the land itself and have that type of communication. In most cases, too, it is a good idea to have a demonologist as well as a psychic medium on spot, too, so that way you can get an actual read of the land. It's also a good idea to get a third person too that backs up with those to be able to prove and validate any of the history on the land too that doesn't have any type of thoughts or origins, so that it's to validate it and have an outside perspective and make sure that all the facts check out with what's coming up with the psychic mediumship as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we've talked about 5 ways that you can invite or find yourself in a demonic haunting. I also want to point out that, and this is important, that they will prey on anyone. They don't care if you're male, female, young, old, what
Facts.
color your skin is, what sex you are, how old you are. They will go after infants. They don't discriminate.
Right. And their goal is to break down a family and knock people out of purpose. If you're not living your God-given purpose, if you're not here living what you were designed to do on this world, living that ultimate purpose, that is where they want you to be. And by getting you off the tracks, by haunting you, by tormenting your family, by breaking everybody down, by having discourse within the family, by having all of these elements, it's going to keep you off of your life purpose. And what we're here to do is talk about ways reasons that your house might be under demonic attack and have demonic hauntings, but also to let you know this, that way you can get rid of that and start living your purpose again.
It's all about raising those vibrations up and keeping those low vibration entities out.
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
Right.
So if you find yourself thinking that some of this stuff checks out, and we encourage you to look into it. There are people out there that will listen and believe you.
You're not crazy.
You're not crazy.
You're not crazy.
And if you have one of these entities in your house, I also like to remind you that you can't reason with them. You can't barter with them.
No.
So don't think that you can control that situation by thinking that you can barter your way out of it. That's not going to happen.
Or make deals. You do not do that.
No.
Do not do that. The only way to conquer dark is by light. And it has to be authentic. It has to be permanent. So that is what we do, is we help people raise their own vibration so they can clear things like this from their house. You don't deserve to do it. You don't deserve to live in this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this for your friends or your families or anybody. This is an awful thing to go through. It's an awful thing for your family to go through. But, there is a way out. So we just wanted to let you know.
So that's our ways to find yourself in demonic haunting or invite one in. I'm Casey Intuitive.
I'm Carrie Intuitive.
And we'll see you next time on another video.
Be sure to subscribe.
Light and love, everybody.
Light and love.